Well, welcome back, race fans. Time for another edition of Haas Talks. And bingo, bango, look who's in the studio today. It's Daison Pursley. Daison, dude, my bro, thank you so much for taking time to come and chit-chat with me, man.
Yeah, no problem. It's definitely, good to be back home at Port City and, to see everybody is really cool and it's fun to watch them racing tonight.
There's been a lot happen over the last year, let's just say 6 months. I mean, it's been kind of a wild ride. And the racing family has just stood behind you 110%. I know everybody like me is just waiting for more info, and I know you're waiting for more info too because there's a process that goes through it. Let's just kind of back up just a little bit and kind of tell folks what's going on right now. Like, you're doing a lot of things to get ready for that next step, but again, sometimes it's baby steps. So what's going on in the life of Daison right now?
Yeah, so we got home about 3 weeks ago from Atlanta. It was my first time home, and I didn't even think I could miss a bed that much. But when I climbed into my own bed, it was pretty comfortable, I guess you could say. Yeah, so been home for 3 weeks, just, doing the small stuff now, and I feel like it's going, of course, slower than any kind of race car driver would want because we're all impatient. So I wish everything would click a little bit faster. But everything, when I go to a doctor, when I go to a rehab center, close to home, they all say that I'm above my progress level and that I shouldn't be doing the stuff that I'm doing. So it's pretty cool to hear that. But it's also you still as a race car driver want to do more always. So. Yeah, right now I'm just going to rehab center in Ortho Indy once a week. They're just kind of working on my left shoulder and left hand. I feel like that's my biggest and kind of only thing that's really setting me back to do a little bit of things, but I can still do a lot. So you do that, and then I signed up for Pit Fit, and they're like a really, really good gym type for race car drivers and whip you into shape pretty quick. I was talking to Shane, earlier last night, and he said that that's a great place to go, and they'll whip you into shape pretty quick. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to go there. And then I'm on the road now. I'm fortunate that, Keith and Pete let me kind of still come hang around and, help a little bit and do what I can. So I feel like that's therapy in itself, is just being on the road and seeing people that feels like a little bit of normalcy, and I feel like that's a lot of therapy, and definitely picks up my mood sometimes.
Getting back to normal has got to be the challenge, really. I mean, you've been stuck in what we would call isolation and just, minimizing some of the things that you want to do. And like you said, you want to keep on pushing and get better faster. And like they say, oh, you're doing great. Well, you're like, yeah, I'm doing great. Like, dude, adjust the seatbelts. Like, let me get back in this thing. But having to kind of step things back. And you say being on the road and being around the KKM family has been therapeutic. Talk to us a little bit about the surprise that we all got at the Chili Bowl this year. It was pretty phenomenal. I'm down in the infield, and then all of a sudden I hear this roar of crowd, and I look up at the screen, and there you are. And I'm like, holy crap, I know that kid. That's Daison Pursley, and he's walking into the expo.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment. Me and my mom were kind of about 2 weeks before that. We were still in the hospital side of Shepherd Center, so we couldn't ever leave the building, I guess. Shepherd Center is really, big on COVID, like a lot of people are, but they kind of didn't think we would, and then we kind of just asked for forgiveness after we kind of went. We weren't really supposed to go, but we just said sorry after we did go. So yeah, during the shootout time, we were kind of in the hospital side of Shepherd, and then in between the shootout and Chili Bowl, we got to move to the apartments, which is like a little bit more freedom. You could go and see Atlanta and kind of do whatever you want. So that helped. And then I talked to my mom a little bit, and she was like, yeah, well, we could go, Friday night or just even Saturday. And absolutely nobody knew. Keith, Pete, my dad, like nobody even knew. And then the first day, I think, yeah, came Thursday, and then we finally told Dad and Keith, because Keith was going to go see his daughter at the rodeo thing that they had going somewhere, and then we kind of had to surprise him, so we didn't want him to not be there, and then I show up, so we had to kind of tell him, so it wouldn't be it would still be a surprise, but not a big enough surprise like we thought. So, but yeah, walking into the expo was it was really cool. I feel like definitely was overwhelming in a good way. But walking through the expo and having 10,000 plus people all cheering for you with no booze, I guess that was a pretty accomplishment moment. I guess I never felt like I would walk into somewhere with that many people and not have one single booze. So it was pretty cool, and I'm thankful everyone is still supporting me and kind of following this journey still. It's been a long one, but I think I'm finally able to kind of talk about it and let everybody know how thankful I am for that.
During the time of like having to just be in the hospital by yourself and not really have a lot of contact with the outside world, so to speak. I mean, I know there are still people that were reaching out and everybody was tweeting and Facebooking and doing all that stuff. What was it about that? Was that something that like really helped you throughout that whole process, was getting the cards and reading the letters and knowing that like Amy and Kevin drove down
Yeah.
to surprise your mom and see your mom and just like wave from you from the hospital window and things like that? That right there speaks volumes. And do you truly feel that has helped you push you along the way some?
Definitely, I feel like the cards that have sent to me in the Facebook comments when my mom posts an update, and then we read all through the Facebook comments. It helps tremendously. I can't remember the nights sometimes that we didn't read, and me and my mom would sit there and read the Facebook comments. We would read the letters that all came in, and it was just really, really cool. And sometimes it brought little tears to our eyes that there were so many people from so many different states that kind of still paid attention to me and that even knew me. I didn't know there was that many people that knew me, but that just says the racing community is truly one of the best. And yeah, it definitely helped me through therapy, and wanted to get up, wanted to do stuff to get better, to show all these people that you can do it when you have an injury like this, and it just all kind of has to have a little bit of faith and a little bit of prayer, I guess you could say, and we definitely got that.
Watching you grow up racing and being around like the Lucas Oil National Open Wheel 600 Series and all that good stuff up and down the road, campfires at night and everything else, it kind of makes you reflect on like the olden days. But then also looking at your career now, it feels like a lot of home for you at KKM. Just talk a little bit about the relationship that you have with Keith, and like that bond is something that's pretty special that not many people get to see, or maybe they don't notice. But I've kind of taken notice to it. Like you and Keith seem to get along like really, really well.
Yeah, luckily he kind of puts up with me, I guess, whatever I want to do. And I came to him, and my dad kind of came to him and said that we wanted to go micro racing, and he ended up, loving that. And I remember the first time he was around it, truly, and just wanted to learn about it, is we were running a sprint car in St. Louis area. Ran a sprint car on Friday night, and then Port City was racing Saturday, and we came and ran, called Scott that night, and I guess Scott got his car ready for me, and came out here and ran A-Class in non-wing in Scott's car, and Keith kind of loved that and wanted to get his own. So I feel like that was the first time he really, fell in love with micro racing. But then absolutely anything I kind of wanted to do, I could just ask him, and he would give me his opinion. Sometimes it was bad, sometimes it was good, but I guess that's why our bond is so strong. And yeah, everybody at KKM is a family to me. And like I said earlier, it's just I can't thank them enough for letting me be on the road with them and piddling around. And sometimes I'm in the way now, sometimes I'm not. But hopefully that they'll still let me stick around throughout the year, and we can see everybody that kind of supported me and prayed for me when we're up and down the road.
That's cool, being able to see everybody and kind of give back a little bit of your time that they've given to you. You talk about that KKM family, and we kind of talked about it before we started recording here. We talked about the Tulip Speedway.
Yeah.
Like, this is something cool. Like, if folks haven't seen it, it's all over Twitter. Like, they can go check out, like, previous interviews, and, like, just some of the things that you guys do is hilarious, but you guys are just kind of killing time and having fun. Kind of tell us a little bit about how that all came up and how the whole that whole deal came about.
Yeah, so I guess none of them really owned a house before that, and then like we all had RC cars, and we all kind of messed around with them in earlier stages. But then Jarrett Martin actually bought a house, so it was like an opportunity to build a racetrack in his backyard, or an RC track. So he started doing that, and we started just joking around out there, and then didn't really get serious. And then he brought up the idea of actually having a couple races there, and talking about them on Twitter, which was really cool. And like you said, you just pass time, and I feel like once you have fun, when you're not at the shop, suppose working, when you're having fun doing stuff, it creates a better bond with everybody. So to do it with RC cars, and to still have racing involved, because we all love doing that, it's really cool. And actually, I think the season's going to start kicking off at Tulip Thunderbolt sometime this year. So my RC cars kind of tore up from last season, so I'm trying to put it back together. But no, I feel like nonetheless it's something to tune into, and it'll be cool to watch.
Throughout your racing career, you've had some pretty spectacular moments, some really good battles and things like that. what if you had to pick like one extreme like race that you can recall, doing battle with somebody? What was like some of your prouder moments, like some of your faster races, some of your like your best battles come from a certain track or a certain type of car? Do you have any of those like that just come to mind?
Yeah, definitely. In 2000, I think it was 2020 at the shootout with I was racing for Randy Timms and Billy Lawhead and Josh and everybody were on the team and I got on the pole of the stock non-wing A main and was really fast that weekend, like crazy fast. Billy had the car on rails and I was just cruising in there. I felt like. And then I think me and Alex battled in the qualifier, and it was like a really good race. And it was like, okay, he's going to be somebody to, look out for in the future. And then sure enough, me and him actually battled it out for the win, and he ended up towing me out. I think I messed up probably 4 or 5 times, too many times. But no, he beat me there, and then later last year, me and Buddy had a really good race in the midget at Sweet Springs, and it just showed, how hard we wanted to push each other to win. And I think we were probably a straightaway ahead at one point, and we were still trying to hit each other, throwing sliders and just super close racing. And I feel like it just, kind of pushes each other to be better. And that's what KKM is all about, is pushing people to have 2 young kids that want to be the best. And, me and Buddy were trying to do that last year.
Right. So it's always about preparing and being better and everything else. Back to the Tulsa shootout deal. You remember coming up on the wall, going into 3?
Yeah,
right there in front of the pit crew stands. I was like, oh my gosh, he's on the wall.
Yeah, I think at the shootout that year I'd done that, probably too many times, I guess you could say. But I guess it made a couple cool reels. And everyone always says if you can't, win, be the show. And I guess I ran 4th and was the show. So that was pretty cool.
Racing against all these different caliber drivers all the time and being teammates with a lot of them, how big of competition do you guys hold at each other? I mean, is there a lot of like trash talking? Is there you and Kaz go off and do your thing and let them figure it out? And
it's hard to speak.
Internal, like, do you guys like get fired up at each other?
I guess as a joke, I know me and Buddy usually race pretty hard with each other, and we have a lot of respect for each other. So we're really good friends off the track and hang out at Tulip Thunderbolt and do all that stuff together. So our friendship is really strong, but of course we're still fierce competitors. So anytime we put the helmet on, it's go time, and I feel like me and Buddy push each other to be better. But we also, when we get out of the car, we always joke around, and I feel like that's just it's fun that way. And I really wouldn't have it with anybody else. Buddy races really hard. He's really smart. He pushes me to be better, and he anytime I have a question, he always answers it with his full honesty, and I respect that a lot.
Moving forward, there's a lot of hopes and a lot of different things that you're hoping to do. At a young age, you went to Keith Coons at the at the Chili Bowl, and you told him, "I'm going to drive for you one day." And here you are, one of his star premier drivers that you've really grown up a lot over the last 2 years since going on the road and racing full time. There's a young kid out there watching this show right now, at least I hope there is, out there watching Hoss Talks that's like, Daison Pursley. I know Daison Pursley. I've seen him race and everything else. Even though you're still young and you got a lot of things coming your way, you've done a lot already. In this short little window, like what kind of advice could you give to a young, a young driver, or maybe a set of parents that are trying to help their kid get to the next level? I mean, I know everybody knows money has a lot to do with it, but I feel like there's also more that goes along with the financial side.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if your kid's very presentable and if he just goes and talks to a lot of people, like you said, I went up to Keith and told him I wanted to drive for him, and I thought that was silly, and my dad kind of almost not forced me, but he just said it would be a smart decision to do and get your name out there, and just so, anytime you see Keith, you keep on doing that, and then, one day he'll be like, oh, I know this kid, and then, he'll let you stay around the pit or whatever. So just always go up and talk to people, and then I feel like if your kid's younger on the parent side, you gotta let him do it. I guess you can't have any fear, and my parents definitely didn't. They put me in a full-size midget at 14 years old and let me go national racing. So if we're parent side of things, you just gotta let your kid do it, and he'll be okay. he'll probably get beat a couple times, but he'll definitely learn from it and regroup and be a really good race car driver. And I feel like at one point you got to throw your kid to the wolves and let him learn. And I feel that helped me out tremendously. I feel like not creating any bad habits, always learning, I feel like helped me a ton. And it's just something that I really appreciate that my parents let me do at a young age, and never slowed down. I feel like we always made progress, and that kind of leads to success.
There you go. Just let them do it. Just let them do it. Daison Pursley on Hoss Talks.